The alien queen thought human warriors were just stories, until she came face to face with one asterisk Queen Zarathal, sat on her crystal throne, high above the clouds of her home planet. The throne room stretched wide like a frozen lake, its walls, made of blue crystal that caught the light of 3 suns. Oh, she was tall and thin, with silver skin that shined like metal. Her forearms moved slowly as she read reports from across her empire. The Vexani Empire ruled 17 star systems. Every planet, every moon, every space station followed her orders. Her people were smart and worked together like parts of one giant machine. They never fought each other. They never argued. They simply did what was best for all. This morning was different. Her military advisor, General Kekstar, stood before her with a worried look on his face. His red eyes glowed as he held a datapad in his clawed hands. "My queen," he said, "in their musical language we have strange reports from the outer worlds." "How?" Queen Zarathal asked. She did not look up from her own reports about crop production and mining operations. "The border colonies speak of a new species. They call themselves humans. The reports say these humans are warriors beyond anything we have seen." The queen finally looked up. Her silver eyes showed no interest. "Warriors? What makes them special? They have better weapons than us? Stronger ships?" "No, my queen. That is what makes the reports so strange." General Kekstar touched his datapad, and images appeared in the air above them. "They have simple technology. Their ships are basic. Their weapons are not advanced. But the stories say they fight like nothing else in the galaxy." "Stories," the queen said with a laugh that sounded like wind chimes. "Stories grow bigger each time someone tells them. What exactly do these stories say?" The general's red eyes grew brighter with worry. "They say humans fight alone, not in groups like us. They say humans feel pain but use it to fight harder, not to run away. They say humans will keep fighting even when they have no chance to win." Queen Zarathal stood up from her throne. She was very tall, almost 9 feet high. "Are talking about fairy tales. No intelligent species fights alone. Working together makes us strong. Fighting alone makes you weak." "Yes, my queen. But in pain is nature's way of telling us to stop. Only stupid animals ignore pain. Smart beings avoid it." She walked to the great window that showed her capital. City below. Millions of Vexani moved through the streets in perfect order, like rivers flowing toward the sea. The reports also say humans cry when their friends die. "But this makes them fight harder, not weaker," the general continued. "Emotions in battle?" The queen shook her head. "Emotions cloud judgment. They make mistakes. Our soldiers fight with clear minds and perfect coordination. That is why we have conquered so many worlds without losing a single major battle." General Kekstar was quiet for a moment. Then he said, "My queen, what if the stories are true? Then these humans are the most dangerous species in the galaxy," she said, but she was smiling. "Dangerous to themselves. Their own emotions and independence will destroy them before they become a real problem for us." She turned back to him. "Where are these mythical human warriors now?" "Our scouts report they have built a small colony on Kepler 4 for 2B. The queen's silver eyes grew sharp. "That system belongs to us. We claimed it last year for its mineral deposits." "Yes, my queen. It seems the humans did not know about our claim. They built a research station there to study some kind of small life forms." "How many humans?" "About 200. All civilians according to our scans. Scientists, engineers, a few families with children." Queen Zarathal walked back to her throne, her forearms moving in thought. "Perfect. This will be a good test for our new automated conquest systems. The war computers can handle a small group of primitives without risking any of our people." "Should we offer them a chance to leave peacefully?" General Kekstar asked. "Of course we are not monsters. We will give them the standard ultimatum. Join our empire as citizens, or leave the system within 1 day. When they see our fleet, they will make the smart choice." The general bowed his head, "And if they refuse, then we will take the planet by force and learn once and for all if human warriors are real or just stories told by frightened colonists." She sat back on her throne, already thinking about other matters. How long will it take to reach Kepler-4 for to be? 3 days at maximum speed, my queen. Good. Use the new AI fleet, the one with the learning computers. Let the machines handle this. I want to see how well our technology works against these famous human fighters. She waved one hand in dismissal. Send the ultimatum as soon as the fleet arrives. This will be over before the week ends. General Kekstar bowed and turned to leave. As he reached the door, the queen called after him. General? Yes, my queen? Make sure the fleet records everything. If these humans are really the warriors from the stories, I want to see proof. And if they are just normal beings who surrender like everyone else, I want proof of that too. We'll be done, my queen. After he left, Queen Zarathal looked out. At her perfect city again, everything was in order. Everything followed the plan. Her empire had grown strong because her people worked together, thought together, and never wasted time on useless emotions or individual glory. She had heard stories about other species before. The Krexani were supposed to be unbeatable in space, battles until her fleet destroyed them in 6 hours. The Morden were said to have invisible ships until her sensors found every one of them. Stories always made enemies sound more dangerous than they really were. These humans would be the same. They would see her ships and make the logical choice. They would join her empire or leave the system. There would be no battle, no test of the strange stories, just another peaceful addition to her growing territory. But as she sat on her crystal throne, looking out at the perfect order of her world, Queen Zarathal felt something she rarely experienced. It was small, like a tiny crack in crystal, but it was their curiosity. What if the stories were true? What if there really was a species that fought with emotions instead of logic? What if somewhere in the galaxy there were beings who could be strong alone instead of only strong together? She pushed the feeling away. Such things were impossible. Her empire proved that working together was the only way to be truly powerful. Humans would learn this lesson soon enough. In 3 days, she would have her answer. Dr. Sarah Chen stood in the main laboratory of Kepler Colony, watching tiny organisms swim under her microscope. These creatures could live in the planet's acid lakes, something that should have been impossible. She had spent 2 years studying them, and they still surprised her every day. Dr. Chen, her assistant Tommy, ran into the lab with his tablet in his hands. His face was pale with worry. You need to see this right now. Sarah looked up from her work. Around the lab, other scientists stopped what they were doing. Tommy's voice carried panic that made everyone listen. What is it? She asked, pulling off her safety glasses. Ships, Tommy said, breathing hard. Alien ships. 12 of them just appeared at the edge of our system. They're huge, Dr. Chen, much bigger than anything we've ever built. Sarah's heart began to beat faster. They had known that other intelligent species existed in the galaxy, but Earth had made contact with only 2 friendly races so far. These ships were not from Earth's allies. Show me, she said. Tommy touched his tablet, and a hologram appeared above it. Sarah saw 12 silver ships hanging in space like sleeping giants. Each one was the size of a city. They moved in perfect formation, as if controlled by one mind. Have they tried to communicate? Sarah asked. Yes, said a new voice. Marine. Sergeant Marcus Rodriguez walked into the lab, wearing his colony security uniform. He was a big man with gentle eyes, but Sarah could see worry in his face. They sent a message 10 minutes ago. Rodriguez held up his own communication device. Cold, musical voice spoke from it in perfect English. People of the human colony on Kepler-4 for to be. I am General Kekstar of the Vexini Empire. This system belongs to our great Queen Zarathal. You have built on our territory without permission. You have 1 day to choose. Join our empire as citizens, or leave this system forever. If you refuse both choices, we will take this world by force. You wait your answer. The laboratory fell silent. Sarah looked around at her team, biologists, engineers, geologists, all of them dedicated to peaceful research. There were families. Here, children who played in the colony gardens while their parents worked. How long would it take to evacuate? Sarah asked Rodriguez. The Marine shook his head. Our transport ships can carry maybe 50 people each. We have 4 ships. That's 200 people per trip, and we have nearly 200 colonists. But the nearest safe system is 6 weeks away. We need at least 3 months to get everyone out safely. And they gave us one day, Tommy said quietly. Sarah walked to the window. Outside, she could see the colony's small buildings spread across the valley. Gardens grew between the structures. Children were playing in the school courtyard. It looked so peaceful, so normal. Dr. Chen Rodriguez said carefully, "There is another choice." She turned to look at him. "What do you mean? We could fight?" The other scientists began talking all at once. Some said it was crazy to fight 12 huge warships. Others said they couldn't just abandon their life's work. Tommy asked how 200 civilians could fight an alien empire. Sarah held up her hand for quiet. "Sergeant, be honest with me. What are our chances?" Rodriguez was quiet for a long moment, and he said, "Against 12 warships. If we fight them in space, we have no chance. Our colony ships aren't built for war, but if they come down to the planet, this planet has caves, mountains, forests. The terrain is on our side. We have mining equipment that could be used as weapons, explosives for clearing rock, heavy machinery, but most importantly, he looked around at all of them. We have something they might not expect." "What's that?" Sarah asked. "We're not soldiers, but we're humans. We don't give up when things look impossible. We find ways to win, even when we shouldn't be able to." Dr. Elena Vasquez, the colony's chief engineer, stepped forward. "I've been listening to their transmission frequencies. Their ships use AI control systems very advanced, but they follow patterns. They expect logical, predictable responses." "You're saying we should be unpredictable?" Sarah asked. "I'm saying we should be human," Rodriguez answered. Sarah looked around the room at her team. These were not warriors. They were scientists who had come here to study life, not to take it. But they were also people who had left Earth to build something new in the stars. They had taken risks before. "All right," she said. "Let's call a colony meeting. Everyone gets to vote. Stay and fight, try to evacuate or surrender, and join their empire. This decision belongs to all of us." 2 hours later, every colonist over the age of 16 stood in the colony's main hall. Parents held their younger children. Scientists still wore their lab coats. Engineers carried their tools. Should have looked like a crowd of helpless civilians. Instead, Sarah saw something else. She saw people who had chosen to leave everything behind to explore the unknown. People who had worked together to build a new home on an alien world. People who had faced challenges before and found ways to overcome them. The vote was unanimous. They would fight. Rodriguez stood up after the vote was counted. "All right, people. We have 18 hours before their deadline. Here's what we're going to do." What happened next would have confused any military computer. The colonists didn't form into neat squads or follow standard defense patterns. Instead, they scattered like seeds in the wind. Dr. Patel took his chemistry knowledge and began making explosives from mining supplies. The Yamamoto family used their engineering skills to turn construction robots into mobile defense units. Teacher Maria Santos organized the children into messenger teams who could move through the colony's tunnel system. Rodriguez found himself amazed. He had trained for years to fight as part of a unit, following orders and coordinating with his team, but these civilians were doing something different. They were thinking for themselves, making individual choices that somehow worked together. When the alien ships finally descended through the atmosphere, they found something their computers could not understand. Instead of a neat military base with clear targets, they found a colony that had become something new. Every building was a fortress. Every tunnel was a trap. Every colonist was a defender who could think and adapt and choose their own way to fight. The first alien landing craft touched down in what should have been the colony's central square. Instead, it found itself surrounded by humans who had already decided that some things were worth fighting for. Dr. Sarah Chen crouched in a hidden position, watching the alien soldiers emerge from their ship. They moved in perfect formation, their actions coordinated like a dance. They were efficient, logical, completely unprepared for what was about to happen. She pressed the detonator in her hand, and the real battle began. Queen Zarathal stood in her command center aboard the flagship Crystal Dawn. watching the battle reports with growing confusion. Her silver hands gripped the control panel as numbers flashed across the screens in red. "General Kekstar," she said, her voice sharp like breaking glass. "Explain to me how we have lost 300 soldiers to 200 civilians." The general's red eyes dimmed with shame. "My queen, the humans are not fighting like any species we have encountered. Our battle computers cannot predict their movements." "Show me," she commanded. The main screen filled with images from the planet. Below, Queen Zarathal watched her perfectly trained soldiers advance in formation toward a human building. Suddenly, explosions came from underground tunnels they had not known existed. When her soldiers regrouped and changed direction, humans appeared from completely different locations. "They don't follow military logic," General Kekstar explained. "Our computers calculate the best defensive positions, but the humans ignore. Those positions, they hide in places that should be tactically worthless, then turn those places into advantages." On the screen, a human child ran between buildings, carrying messages. The Queen's soldiers could have stopped the child easily, but when they tried, adult humans appeared from nowhere to protect her. The soldiers found themselves fighting 5 separate small battles instead of one large one. "This should not be possible," the Queen said. "A scattered defense is a weak defense." "Why are they winning?" "We think," the general said carefully, "it is because they make decisions individually. Each human chooses their own actions, but somehow these choices work together." Queen Zarathal turned away from the screens. Her empire had conquered worlds through superior technology and perfect coordination. Her armies moved like clockwork, each part working with every other part. But these humans seemed to be operating by completely different rules. "I need to see this for myself," she decided. "My queen, that would be very dangerous. The humans have shown they will attack anything that moves. Then I will go where they cannot see me." She walked to a wall cabinet and pulled out a device that looked like silver jewelry. "Prepare my personal stealth suit. I am going to the surface. My queen, please reconsider. If something happens to you, if something happens to me, you will continue the battle according to standard protocols," she said, putting on the stealth device. "But I must understand what we are facing. These humans are either the greatest warriors in the galaxy, or we are missing something obvious." 2 hours later, Queen Zarathal materialized inside the human colony, invisible to all sensors and eyes. The stealth suit let her move like a ghost through the battlefield. She expected to find a military command center or hidden weapons. She found something that challenged everything she thought she knew about war in the colony's medical center. Dr. Sarah Chen worked over an injured colonist. The man had burns on his arms from an explosion, but he kept trying to get up to return to the fighting. "Stay still, Marcus," Dr. Chen said firmly. "You're no good to us if you pass out from blood loss. The East Tunnel needs defending." The injured man Rodriguez, the Queen realized, said through gritted teeth, "Tommy's team is too small to hold it alone. Elena's group is already moving to help them. Trust your people to do their jobs." The Queen watched, fascinated. Dr. Chen was treating wounds while also coordinating defense plans. She was making medical decisions and military decisions at the same time, switching between them like breathing. A young girl, maybe 10 years old, ran into the medical center. "Dr. Chen, Mom says the aliens are trying to circle around the north side. She needs more explosive charges." "Tell her to check storage room 3, Dr. Chen said, not looking up from her patient. "And honey, stay in the safe zones like we practiced." "Will," the girl promised, then ran back out. The Queen followed the child, expecting her to hide in some protected bunker. Instead, the girl ran through a network of tunnels, delivering messages to different groups of defenders. She moved fearlessly through what was essentially a war zone, helping the adult humans coordinate their efforts. This made no sense to the Queen. Children were precious resources to be protected, not used as messengers in battle. Yet this child seemed proud of her role, and the adults trusted her completely. The Queen continued exploring, growing more confused with each observation. In one tunnel, she found an elderly man teaching teenagers how to disable alien equipment, His hands shook with age, but his voice was steady and sure. Remember, he told them, their technology expects logical responses, so give them illogical ones. If they expect you to run, stand still. If they expect you to hide, step into the open. Keep them guessing. This is fine. What was so when She watched a woman who was clearly terrified. Her hands shook and sweat covered her face. But she continued. To set traps for alien soldiers. When her friend was injured nearby, the frightened woman became fierce, dragging her friend to safety while fighting off 2 alien soldiers with nothing but a mining tool. The queen saw humans cry when their friends were hurt and fight harder because of those tears. She saw them make choices that put them in danger to protect others. She saw individuals working together without central command, each person knowing somehow what the others needed. Most disturbing of all, she saw them winning, her perfect soldiers, with their perfect coordination and superior weapons, were being defeated by emotional, chaotic, unpredictable humans who should have been easy to conquer. The queen was so focused on watching the humans that she almost missed the small voice. Behind her, "Are you lost?" She spun around and saw a human child, maybe 7 years old, looking directly at her.
Oh.
The stealth suit should have made her invisible. Somehow this child could see her. The child had curly brown hair and big eyes that showed. No fear, only curiosity. She carried a small bag of what looked like food. "You're not one of the scary soldiers," the child said. "You look different. Are you lost? Do you need help?" Queen Zarathal stood perfectly still. This small human should have screamed for help or run away. Instead, she was offering assistance to a complete stranger in the middle of a battle. Double quotes. The queen started to speak, then stopped. Her voice would alert everyone to her presence. The child reached into her bag and pulled out something that looked like bread. "Are you hungry? My mom packed extra food for the helpers. You look like you might be a helper too." The child held out the food with a smile that had no fear in it, no suspicion, no anger, just simple kindness towards someone she thought might need help. For the first time in her long life, Queen Zarathal felt something crack inside her chest. It was not pain, but it was close. She looked down at this small human offering food to a stranger during a battle, and realized she had been completely wrong about everything. These humans were not just warriors. They were something her advanced civilization had. Queen Zarathal knelt down slowly, her stealth suit shimmering as she moved. The human child still stood before her, holding out the piece of bread with innocent trust. The queen's 4 hands trembled as she reached for the offered food. "Pink." "You," she whispered, her voice barely audible. The child smiled brighter. "You're welcome. My name is Lucy. What's your name?" Before the queen could answer, heavy footsteps echoed through the tunnel. Both she and Lucy turned to see Sergeant Rodriguez approaching, his weapon raised and ready. His eyes scanned the area carefully, and the queen realized her stealth suit was not perfect. He had detected her presence somehow. "Lucy Rodriguez," said gently, never taking his eyes off the queen's position. "Go back to the safe room, sweetheart. Now." "No?" "But Sergeant Marcus, there's a nice lady here who needs help," Lucy said, looking confused. "I know, Lucy. I'll take care of her. Go find your mom." The child looked between Rodriguez and the empty space where she could see the queen. Will you be nice to her? She seemed scared. I promise I'll be fair, Rodriguez said. Now go. Lucy nodded and ran down the tunnel, her small feet pattering against the metal floor. Only when her footsteps faded did Rodriguez speak again. I know you're there, he said to the air. Your stealth technology is good, but it can't hide your heat signature completely. I can see the outline. Queen Zarathal considered her options. She could activate her emergency transport and return to her ship. She could call for backup. Instead, she did something that surprised herself. She turned off the stealth suit. She appeared before Rodriguez like a silver ghost becoming solid. Her 4 arms hung at her sides, showing she carried no weapons. Her tall frame made her tower over the human sergeant. But she did not try to appear threatening. Rodriguez's eyes widened slightly when he saw her, but his weapon never wavered. You're not a soldier, he said. No, the Queen replied. The Vexani, Empire, the leader, the one who ordered this attack. Rodriguez's grip tightened on his weapon. I should kill you right now. End this war before more people die. Yes, the Queen said simply. You should. This was not the response Rodriguez expected. T studied her face, looking for tricks or lies. Why haven't you called for help? Your ships must know you're here. They do not. I came alone to understand. Something I could not understand from afar. The Queen gestured around the tunnel. People should not be winning this battle. Everything I know about warfare says you should have surrendered by now. Rodriguez kept his weapon aimed at her heart, but his curiosity was stronger than his anger. What don't you understand? You fight alone, but you are stronger together. You feel emotions that should make you weak, but they make you fierce. Protect children in the middle of battle instead of hiding them away. Nothing your people do makes logical sense, yet you are defeating my superior forces. And you came down here to figure out why. Yes, the Queen took a small step forward. I need to know what kind of enemy I am facing. We're not your enemies. Rodriguez said, We never wanted to fight you. Came to our home and told us to leave. This system belongs to my empire. Did you build anything here? Did you study the life forms or learn from this place? Or did you just put it on a map and call it yours? The Queen was quiet for a moment. We claimed it for its mineral resources, claimed it for its mysteries. Came here to learn too. Discover, to understand. Which claim is stronger? Rodriguez lowered his weapon slightly, but kept it ready. You want to know what makes us different? I'll tell you. We don't fight because we love war. We fight because we love peace. We don't enjoy killing. We do it to protect the people who can't protect themselves. That makes no sense. Fighting for peace is a contradiction. No, it's a choice. Rodriguez sat down on a supply crate, his weapon, now pointing at the floor but still in his hands. I lost my whole unit 3 years ago in a battle against pirates. 23 good soldiers died under my command. I requested transfer to this peaceful colony because I wanted to remember what we were fighting for. The Queen listened, her silver eyes focused on his face. I came here to watch children play in gardens, to see scientists discover new things, to protect people who use their minds to build instead of their hands to destroy. Rodriguez looked up at her. That little girl who offered you food. She represents everything worth protecting in this galaxy, yet you taught her to run messages through a war zone. I taught her to be brave when bravery was needed. I taught her that everyone has a part to play in protecting their family. Rodriguez stood up again. Your soldiers fight because they are ordered to. My people fight because they choose to. Suddenly, alarms began sounding throughout the tunnel system. The Queen's communication device activated automatically, and General Kekstar's voice filled the air. My Queen, we have detected your location. Your stealth suit went offline. You're sending soldiers to rescue you immediately. Belay that order, the Queen said quickly. My Queen, I said stop. Do not send rescue teams. Continue the battle as planned. Rodriguez raised his weapon again as they heard the sound of approaching boots. Your people are coming anyway. The Queen looked at him with something like respect. What will you do now? Use me as a hostage? Try to escape? No, Rodriguez said. I'm going to do something that probably doesn't make sense to you either. The boots were getting closer. The Queen could hear her soldiers calling for her there, voices echoing through the tunnels. But instead of moving toward them, Rodriguez stepped between the Queen and the approaching sound. What are you doing? She asked. Your soldiers will see you talking to an enemy and think you've been captured. They might try to rescue you with force, and you could get hurt in the crossfire. Rodriguez checked his weapon and took a defensive position. I gave that little girl my word that I would be fair to you. You are protecting me from my own soldiers. I'm protecting everyone. Your people, my people, and you. Rodriguez looked back at her. That's what humans do. We protect people, even when those people are trying to hurt us. The first alien soldiers appeared around the corner, their weapons raised. They saw their queen standing behind a human who was clearly ready to fight them. The situation should have been simple: eliminate the threat and rescue their leader. Instead, they hesitated. The human was not threatening their queen. He was standing between her and potential danger. Like a guard protecting someone precious, Queen Zarathal stood behind Rodriguez, watching him prepare to fight her own people to keep her safe. In that moment, she finally understood what made human warriors so impossible to defeat. Queen Zarathal raised her forearms high above her head, a gesture that meant stop in the universal military language. Her soldiers froze in place, their weapons still aimed at Rodriguez, who stood protectively in front of her. "Lower your weapons," she commanded. Her voice carried the authority of someone who had ruled 17 star systems for over a century. "My queen," the lead soldier said, confusion clear in his mechanical voice. "The human is threatening you." "No," the queen said firmly. "The human is protecting me. There is a difference, and it is time we learn to see it." Rodriguez slowly lowered his own weapon, though he remained alert. The alien soldiers looked at each other, uncertain. Their training had not prepared them for a situation where their enemy defended their leader. "All forces," the queen spoke into her communication device. "This is Queen Zarathal. Seize all hostile actions immediately. Pull back to safe positions, but do not retreat. Await further orders." General Kekstar's voice crackled through the speaker. "My queen, are you under duress? Should we continue the assault?" "I am perfectly safe, General."
"No, you should not."
"Continue the assault." The queen looked at Rodriguez, who was watching her with careful eyes. "I am calling for an immediate ceasefire. Both sides will hold their positions until I return to the ship." The tunnels fell silent, except for the distant sounds of machinery and the soft breathing of nervous soldiers. The queen turned to Rodriguez. "Sergeant, I need to speak with your leader." "Dr. Chen, I believe?" "She's in the medical center treating wounded," Rodriguez replied, "but I can take you to her." "My queen," one of her soldiers protested, "it could be a trap. If these humans wanted to trap me, they have had plenty of opportunities." The queen gestured to Rodriguez. "This man could have killed me several times over. Instead, he offered to protect me from harm. I think we can trust him too. Arrange a simple meeting." 20 minutes later, Queen Zarathal sat in the colony's main meeting room across from Dr. Sarah. Between them was a simple metal table that had been used for scientific conferences before the battle began.
Wow.
Now it would be used for something far more important. Dr. Chen looked tired. Her medical coat was stained with blood from treating wounded colonists, and her hair was pulled back hastily. But her eyes were sharp and intelligent as she studied the alien queen. "You could have destroyed us from orbit," Dr. Chen said without introduction. "Your ships have that capability. Why didn't you?" "Because destruction was never the goal," the queen replied. "My empire grows through integration, not elimination. We offer conquered peoples a choice. Join us and benefit from our technology and protection, or leave and find new homes elsewhere. And when people refuse both options, then we take what we need by force, but we try to minimize casualties." The queen's silver skin seemed to darken slightly. "Your people were supposed to be a simple problem with a simple solution." Dr. Chen leaned back in her chair. "But we surprised you." "You amazed me," the queen corrected. "In 3 days of fighting, you have taught me things about warfare that I never learned in a century of conquest. Your people fight with something my empire has never possessed." "What's that?" "Heart," the queen said simply. "You fight not because you must, but because you choose to. You fight not for conquest, but for protection. You fight not as individuals, but as a family." Dr. Chen was quiet for a moment. "What happens now? You destroy us for resisting? You bring more ships until we can't fight anymore?" "No. The queen stood up and walked to the window. Outside, she could see human children playing under the watchful eyes of both human and alien guards. The sight should have been impossible, enemies watching over each other's young, but somehow it felt right. "I have a proposal," the queen continued. "Something my empire has never offered before."
"I'm listening. Join us not as subjects, but as partners."
"Equal partners in an alliance between our species." Dr. Chen's eyes widened. "Equal partners. Your empire has 17 star systems. We have one small colony. Size is not the only measure of strength." The queen turned back to face her. "Empire faces a threat that our traditional methods cannot defeat. There are machine intelligences expanding across the galaxy, consuming everything in their path. They fight with perfect logic and coordination, just like we do. And you think humans can help? I think humans are the only species who can help. Machines can predict logical responses, but they cannot understand illogical ones. They can counter coordinated attacks, but they struggle against independent action guided by emotion and intuition." Dr. Chen stood up slowly. "You're asking us to help you fight a war. I'm asking you to help me save the galaxy." The queen's voice carried a weight of responsibility that made Dr. Chen understand just how serious the threat must be. These machines do not conquer, they consume. Turn entire worlds into factories for making more machines. They've already taken 3 systems at the edge of my empire. What would this partnership look like? Your people would keep your independence, your culture, your way of life. We would share our technology with you, medicine that could extend, human lifespans, ships that could carry you to distant stars, knowledge that could solve many of your world's problems. In return, you would share your greatest strength with us, which is the ability to think with your hearts as well as your minds, the ability to fight for love instead of duty, the ability to see enemies as potential friends instead of problems. To be solved, Dr. Chen walked to the window and looked out at the mixed groups of humans and aliens. "I can't make this decision alone. The colonists would have to vote. Of course, I would expect nothing less from humans. And if we say no," the queen was quiet for a long moment, "then I will order my ships to leave this system. Your colony can continue its work in peace. But when the machines come, and they will come eventually, you will face them alone." Dr. Chen nodded slowly. "I need time to discuss this with my people. Take all the time you need, and my ships will remain at a respectful distance while you decide." 3 hours later, the colonists gathered in the main hall for the second vote of their lives. This time, they were not choosing whether to fight for their home, or choosing whether to help save the galaxy. The vote was closer than before, but the result was clear. They would join the Queen's alliance. 1 week later, Queen Zarathal stood on the bridge of her flagship, but she was not alone. Dr. Chen and Sergeant Rodriguez stood beside her, wearing new uniforms that combined human and Vexani designs. Before them, a holographic display showed the edge of the galaxy where the machine threat grew stronger each day. "The first joint human Vexani fleet will depart tomorrow," the Queen said. 12 of my ships and 4 human vessels working together. To face an enemy that neither of us could defeat alone. Rodriguez looked at the display with the eye of an experienced soldier. "Do you really think this will work? Humans and aliens fighting side by side?" The Queen thought of a small girl offering bread to a stranger, of a man protecting his enemy from harm, of people who chose to fight for love instead of conquest. "Sergeant," she said with something that might have been a smile, "I have learned never to underestimate what humans can accomplish when they decide something is worth fighting for." As the fleet prepared for departure, the Queen realized she was no longer just a conqueror. She had become something new, a defender of the galaxy. Guided by the human understanding that true strength comes not from forcing others to submit, but from inspiring them to stand together, the war with the machines would be difficult. But for the first time in years, Queen Zarathal felt something she had almost forgotten.